Oh, good morning and welcome to What Shape Are You In? Oh, I'm excited to be here this morning. I just got pumped up on another idea. This Michael Cohen thing is a gift that keeps on giving to me. This is the third talk on it. The first one was the morality play of Cohen, and I forgot what yesterday's was. But it keeps on giving. Now, I have been working on this idea. It keeps unfolding and revealing itself to me, like a plant. You get a plant and you water it, it keeps growing. You get an idea and you water it, it keeps growing and flowers and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you transplant it and it gets bigger, and you transplant it and it gets bigger because you keep outgrowing the pot. You get a little house plant from the nursery. And you water it and it grows. Then it gets constrained. You have to put it in a bigger pot, and a bigger pot, and a bigger pot. This is the path of awakening. You keep getting bigger pots, but you have to water the idea. You got to water the plant, the living plant. It's like the bacteria in yogurt. If you don't get that living bacteria, the yogurt won't be yogurt. I don't know what it'll be. But if you have that bacteria, which is transplanted from another living yogurt, your yogurt will become a living yogurt. I think it's the same with sourdough bread, but I digress. The topic of this talk is be the loyal rebel. Be the loyal rebel. Now just listen to this. This is kind of like the formula for your liberation, if you can really understand it and eat it and play with it and see if it works. There are two commandments, two categorical imperatives in life that must be obeyed. You must obey them, but they're contradictory. It's like the mother who says to the child, try and be spontaneous now. Maybe you're going out to, maybe you're in a play, or maybe you're in doing something and you have to be spontaneous. So you're told, try and be spontaneous. That's the same if you're a photographer and you got a little kid there and the mother says, no, try and smile. And the kid goes, and so I have to, oh, please don't try to smile. So you have to trick the kid into smiling, because you can't smile. Smiling is spontaneous. A lot of people can't smile because it's a commandment they can't obey. They have to be a hypocrite. Teenagers are good at that. Smile for the picture. You can't obey it without being a hypocrite, without being phony. I don't want to be phony. I'll be spontaneous, but I can't try and be spontaneous. So these two commandments are, getting back, I got off on spontaneous, but you must be loyal. Now, loyal means you must belong to a group. You must belong to a family, a gang, a country, a religion, a party, a club. We have all of these groups or organizations that we belong to. We have to, otherwise you're going to be a hermit up in the mountains. And then you belong to nature. Okay? So we have to belong to something. Nothing stands alone. Nothing, everything is part of the whole. Even this eraser here doesn't stand alone. It's part of the room. It's part of its function. It's part of its utility. It doesn't stand alone in the cosmos like a Andy Warhol soup can or the obelisk in Space Odyssey. Remember that? That stood. Nobody could figure out what it was because it didn't relate to anything. But it did have a meaning. But anyway, so you got to be loyal. You got to belong. The other commandment that must be obeyed is be unique. Stand out. This is the American commandment. Stand out, be unique, follow your dream. Don't think inside the box, think outside the box, which means you have to rebel against the box. Be a rebel. That's why we love Satan. We love the villain because they're rebels. Breaking Bad. That's the American commandment. The religious commandment is be loyal. Obey. Obey God. Obey the doctrine. Obey the Bible. Obey the Pope. Obey the minister. Or if you go to therapy, obey the therapist. Obey. You can't belong to a group unless you obey. And then when you have groups, you'll always notice that there are people that are loyal to the group, and you always have somebody, why protest? You're going the wrong way. That's the rebel. They're trying to obey this one. So we end up by obeying one or the other commandment. But we have to obey both. And we can't because they contradict each other. But we have to. So we create strategies. We create rituals. We create ways in which we can do both. Because we must, but we can't. So let's get back to Cohen. So, Cohen was a taxi cab lawyer. Mediocre, just doing, I don't know what he was doing. And Trump came along. And Trump tapped him. Boop, boop, boop. Hey, you want to be my personal lawyer? You want to be my protector? Whoa. I could belong to something. Just not running around here in the lost in New York. I could be somebody. I could belong to something. I could be loyal to something. I can obey this commandment. I can be loyal. He needs me. I can be loyal to him. I'll take a bullet for him. Now, why would I do that? How could I be rebellious against Trump and say, wait a minute, what are you doing, Trump? That's rebellion. Questioning, doubting. What are you doing? I don't think you're right. What the hell's going on here? That's the rebel. But you got to be loyal. So how do I create the strategy of the mind where I can be loyal and rebellious? Well, Trump is the iconic rebellion. Trump is the rebel. But what does he rebel against? The mainstream society, the man, the big government, the whole works. Trump is the arch rebellion, the arch rebel. Liberals, he will rebel against them. No, you're wrong. Republicans, yeah, you're wrong. Big government, deep state, I don't care. The governments, the Europe, the whole damn planet. I rebel. Join me, and you'll rebel. So now, Cohen joins Trump, the rebellion religion, the rebel God, you see, an organization. Now he's loyal to the organization that is a rebellion. So he gets to rebel and be loyal both at the same time, but on different levels. So what happens? See, now he says, I can do both commandments. I have solved the tension. See this great tension between these two. See, when these two, boom, wow, 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 wow. See, that is a feedback, In other words, it's kind of like, these two commandments are kind of like putting, you ever try to put a magnet together? So you can't put the two commandments together like two poles, opposite poles. But you must. You have to find the whole that contains the two opposite forces. So the whole, now using Cohen as a metaphor, an example, you see, so Trump is the whole that contains the two commandments. You get to be loyal to Trump, like Roger Stone, like the Republicans, and you get to rebel because Trump, when you belong to Trump, you belong to the rebellion. You see, you get to do both, but ritually. Now, why does this break down? Because if you look at reality as an organism is made of lower and higher wholes. You got the cell. And the cell is part of molecules. I don't know. The cell's part of the liver. The liver's part of the digestive system. And the digestive system is part, it goes up like, or a house. You got the lower floor, you got the whole house, and you live on each floor. So if you live on this floor, there is a higher order above you, but you can't see it because the floor you are on is the whole world. The floor you are on is the floor that contains the two contradictory but must be obeyed commandments. So your floor satisfies the tension between the two commandments, you see. That must be satisfied. You can't live with that tension. It's like, it creates anxiety. It'll create a nervous breakdown. Schizophrenia, suicide are ways out of this tension. So you solve it by being on this floor, but what you can't see is the higher floor, which this is a part of. Okay? So that creates a tension. Because the design of the whole house is in every floor. The design of the whole organism is in every part. The DNA of the whole organism is in every cell. The design of the whole house is in everything part of that house. But if I'm locked into one floor, I have no idea the whole house exists. I think my floor is the whole house. But there's a tension because the whole is in me. So the whole, which is unconscious, is pulling me and saying something is wrong with living on this floor. There's something else to this house. What is it? I don't know. I feel this tension, so maybe I better be more loyal to Trump. I need to double down on my floor to get rid of this tension between me and some invisible higher floor, a higher order, you see. So eventually this tension between the higher and the lower is going to create a situation where the whole thing collapses. Because I must become more aware of the whole house. That's what consciousness is. Consciousness is becoming aware of the whole instead of thinking the part is the whole. So the brain must become aware of the heart and the whole, but if the brain thinks it's the whole, there's a tension between the brain, the mind, the thinking you, and the whole, which is awareness, but you're not conscious of it. So there's a tension here that's going to create the fall. The tension between the lower and the higher is going to create the fall in Cohen's life, where he realizes that he has been loyal to a lower floor. And that realization changes everything, because now he becomes loyal to a higher order, which might be loyal to society as a whole, loyal to America as a whole, loyal to humanity. You see how these hold-ons go? In Russian nesting dolls. I'm loyal to my family. My family's in my town. I'm loyal to the town. I'm loyal to the state. I'm loyal to the country. I'm loyal to Europe, to the European Union. I'm loyal to the Western Hemisphere. I'm loyal to humanity. So when you get up to the loyal to the humanity, you're getting up there around where Buddha and Christ are. They're loyal to humanity as a whole and not any division of humanity. So that's the staircase of higher and higher orders, higher and higher loyalties as they are revealed to you, you see, one stage at a time. Very few people make the lump from the basement to the penthouse in one. Some people have that experience and it really gets them screwed up because they got to go back and go back to the lower floor and apply what they've learned, what they've seen from the higher. You see, you got to go back to where you are and apply what you've seen to where you are so you can move up the steps gradually. You can't jump the whole staircase. So anyway, Cohen is in the position now where the tension has created the fall. He gets arrested and all that, yada, yada. But something else is happening, you see, because he's not, because he is suddenly realizing that he has been disloyal to America by being loyal to a rebel against America, against the whole. So now everything is switched. Now he gets to be loyal to a higher order, his conscience, and he gets to rebel against Trump. So he gets to, once again, obey both commandments. But now the loyalty is to a higher order, and his rebellion is against the order that he used to be loyal to. So again, but now the tension is gone that existed when he was loyal to the rebel, because the rebel was rebelling against the whole, which is kind of like a cell rebelling against the organism, yet knowing something is wrong because the DNA of the whole organism is in the cell. So see, that cell, that's a cancer. So you could say from that then, Trump is a metaphor for a cancer. He's loyal to his own cell, his own base. And the base loves it because they get to be loyal and a rebel at the same time. And they are relieved from the tension of not being able to obey both commandments at the same time. So that's why they're joyous under the revival tent, you see, of Trump. They're joyous in the rallies. They're joyous following Trump because Trump relieves them of the tension between the not being able to obey the two commandments. But like with Cohen himself, there's going to be a fall because there is a higher order that's calling you. There is a higher loyalty that's calling you. And the conscience, you see, you call it our conscience, our awareness, our soul, you see, hears it. Okay, thanks for dropping in, and I'll see you next time.